Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Nope, that's not what I wanted at all. That's what I wanted. Welcome to a Monday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and Parrish Construction and Roofing. You need an orthopedist, you go to Brock. You need a roof, you give us a shout at Parrish Construction and Roofing. Visit parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. All right, y'all. Hope your weekend was awesome. Sorry, I'm just sharing the Facebook post real quick. I wish there was a more efficient way to do this, but I can't share the post on Facebook until it actually goes live. So anyway, all right, y'all. Hope you had a great weekend. I did, got a lot done, but also had a lot of family time as well, which is really good. Hopefully the same for all of you. LSU landed a portal arm on Sunday, Jacob Myers from Nichols. For those that were here on Sunday's show, maybe a little birdie told me that Myers had committed. It was what he was going to make his statement public on Sunday, which he did, but that was the little tiger emoji that Jay Johnson tweeted. So we shared that with you yesterday on the show. It pays to listen to Morning Scone. Anyway, I like Myers a lot. You know, he's this is a guy who big time strikeout stuff. We've talked about him ever since he jumped in the portal. You know, went to Santa Ma, was kind of lightly recruited, ends up at Nichols. Was really good there as a freshman. This year as a sophomore, 70 and 2/3 innings pitched, had 106 strikeouts. So that's really significant. But he also had 76 walks, so more than a walk per inning pitched. So that was the bugaboo. So you have a guy with elite strikeout stuff, really, really good arm talent, has struggled with his command. You got to work on that. You do that, you got something there. So LSU, again, still can't be done in the portal. If you just look at the arms they've lost, right? Ackenhausen, Little, Helmers were all seniors. Jump, Holman, Hurd, Uyoa, Lore all going to the draft. That's 8. And then Seo, Coleman, Dutton, Johnson, Moffitt, Bucknam, Bronzini. That's 7 to the portal. So that's 15 arms that you've lost. And we don't know what's going to happen with Griffin Herring yet. So you feel good about probably 4 of the guys in this class showing up. And now you've added Luke Hayden, Devin Sheeran, Zach Cohen, Chandler Dorsey, and now Jacob Myers. Well, that's 5. So if you get 4 freshmen or 4, in this signing class, the 5 transfers you got already, that's 9. You still haven't replaced. You still need another handful of arms. So, where do they come from? Do they come from the JUCO ranks? Can you still get more guys out of the portal? You got time. But again, they can't be done. I mean, you've got to add more arms because you've lost so much of your young depth with Seo and Bucknam and Bronzini and Cam Johnson, Naden Moffitt, all guys that you'd hoped would stay and would continue to grow and develop, but didn't. So you got to go replace those arms. So, all right. So a massive football recruiting weekend, which we talked about. I got a full recap on Locked on LSU. If you want to check out podcast or YouTube, however you prefer to consume, got all the recaps there on the LSU football portal the LSU football commits from this past weekend. Richard Anderson, 26 defensive lineman, Ja'Kai Anderson, 2026 wide receiver are committed. And you got Jesse Harold, 2025 edge out of Tampa, Florida. So the number 9 edge in the country, the number 66 overall player in the country. According to On3, I think 247 has him as like this number 74 overall player in the country. So big recruiting weekend for LSU football there with Friday Night Lights in Tiger Stadium. So okay, y'all. College World Series final game 3 is tonight. I like Texas A&M. Told y'all. I mean, look, before the before the entire tournament started, I picked Texas A&M to win it. So it's come down to one game. Why stray from it now? So I'll roll with Texas A&M. Man, they almost got it done yesterday too, with Cortez on the mound. They could certainly bring Aschenbeck back today, but you got to get it to him with a lead. But I also think that I think Texas A&M's pitching probably shapes up a little bit better than Tennessee's today. So, yeah, I'll roll with A&M today. Okay, y'all, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page, share the post, or like the follow the profile. Actually, again, Facebook algorithm, blah, blah, bloop. I moved from my professional page to my profile, so follow the profile. We'd appreciate it. Okay, let's say some good mornings here. Hey, Damon, good morning. Kelly Gross, good morning. Chawalt One, what's going on? Chosen Kingston, Matt, recently at Doe's, my birthday. Fire. Doe's is great. It's a fantastic spot in Mid-City. They also have a great old-fashioned at Doe's, by the way. If you like old-fashions, they do have a great old-fashioned there. GameCube Gamer, morning, Matt. Do you think Jay is finishing the transfer portal? I do not. Just kind of talked about that a little bit. Just strictly from the pitching standpoint, he can't be. Got to add more arms. The other part, too, is they need answers. Well, let's go through a few things, right? Okay, so Zach Killeen is the number one player in the portal. He's a shortstop from Louisville. LSU's in on him, although I don't feel great about it. I'm hopeful, but not optimistic. He came on a visit, left without committing, still wants to visit A&M. Okay, well, they're also recruiting Zach Root, the lefty from East Carolina. You'd absolutely take him if you could. He's the best pitcher in the portal, and he would be a rotation guy for you next year, no doubt. He would be better than all the portal guys you've signed so far, with the exception of maybe Devin Sheeran, who's 6'7" and throws 98. But we'll see about those guys. But what you're really interested in sweating here is like what happens with Gavin Killeen. If you don't get him in the portal, then you really need to hope Braswell stays, because Braswell would be your best option at short. But if Braswell leaves, then you have to replace the left side of your infield with Braswell and Tommy White. And while you got Milam, who can play second or could play on the left side of the infield, and you got Kucherak as well, you're still down a player on that side, and you would need depth as well. So no, they're not done. And like we've talked about, they need a third catcher as well. And somebody, by the way, and heads up, I want to give him a shout out. Hang on one second. It was Grant Dugas on my text line said you didn't mention the Dayton catcher on Locked On. So it's Eddie Yaman, who LSU got a commitment from last week. But Eddie Yaman is he grew to 6'5". He's not going to catch anymore. He's a DH last year, so he's first base DH. I'm told he could possibly play some third, but first base DH is where he's going to settle. So you need another catcher. You're holding your breath on Blaze Priester and Cade Arambidi in the draft, but after that, you need a third catcher. And so, what's his name? Bear Collins, I believe. Or is it Harrison? Yeah, Bear Harrison. Connor Bear Harrison from St. Mary's was freshman all-conference there at the West Coast Conference and hit 322. And he's a guy that I know they've reached out to and would like to bring in. Jay has a relationship with the St. Mary's coach also, so that's another one to keep an eye on. I think I mentioned him last week. Jason, what up, dude? Guy Brooks, Hunter Broadhead. Morning, Matt. Watching AFR while you were talking about the Saints, the ESPN saying that they should have traded their vets, but I didn't think that the contracts they were on would allow that. So there was a piece up at ESPN.com that was talking about I think it was grading the offseason. It was grading the offseason for every NFL team. They gave the Saints a D. And one of the things they said was they thought the Saints should trade their vets. And one of the things I've said often is exactly what Hunter just said, which is when you keep restructuring contracts, you have players that are untradeable. Now, one guy they could have traded was Marshawn Lattimore, and still potentially could. Before they restructured Derek Carr, they not necessarily were going to be able to trade him, but I didn't like the restructure there because it financially bound you to him for 2 more years. Let's see. Yeah, and by the way, I agree with you. That's been my point all along. But just like for example, let's say who's a player that would be intriguing. Let's just say Eric McCoy. Okay, he's been a good starter for you. You signed him to a 5-year, $60 million contract extension. McCoy. So McCoy, his cap hit this year is 6.52. His dead cap number is 22.9. So meaning if you had traded Eric McCoy this year, he would have counted $22.9 million against the cap. Instead of being on your roster, he counts 6.5. Now, next year, his dead cap number is 16.3. His cap hit is 15.4. So kind of what and what. And then in 2026, basically 2026 and 2027 are the years where you would have less dead money than money on the books. So you have to decide that by that point, like, do you still want him around? But anyway, to illustrate the point, yes, like you couldn't trade a guy like that, and on and on and on. So I'm in agreement with you. I think Lattimore is one that you could have or possibly still could, but overwhelmingly the way the deals are structured after the restructures, it's impossible to trade them. Larry, AirTech, trivia. Make defense great again. Matt, what's up with these kids who we thought were locks backing off their commitment? Kids like KM, who is literally recruiting for LSU. Is it just the NIL age in which we live now? I didn't see Keelen Moses decommit. I feel like I would have seen that if that had happened. You're gonna have to help me if there's something I missed, but I don't see anywhere that Keelen Moses decommitted. Are you just talking about him taking his visit to LSU or to A&M? Because I actually did ask him about that when he was in studio several months back, and he was going to take his visits, and part of his brother is going on the visits with him as well, and that's something that he did with Dylan back then when Dylan was being recruited as well. So I don't think. Now again, I don't know. I haven't spoken to Keelen personally since he was in studio, however many months ago that was, but I'll go back and revisit that. But I mean, his thing, as I recall, the conversation we had about that was he was going to take his visits. And by the way, I wish every kid would take their visits. You get 5 official visits. You get to go see the world, see college campuses, see what's out there on somebody else's dime. Go do that. And then what's more important about that as well is in the portal NIL era where nothing seems to be certain long term. Yeah, go find out what options are out there in the event that you need to transfer or do transfer at some point. So that's also similarly why teams should keep, like the Decorian Moore situation. Even if he ends up at Texas, if LSU rolls out the red carpet and continues to absolutely shine for Decorian Moore, what if he goes to Texas for a year, hates it, and helps in the portal? Come on. You know what I mean? So unless I'm missing something, I haven't seen anywhere. I just searched it as well. I didn't see anywhere where Keelen Moses had decommitted, but I know he took the visit. So he took his Oregon visit. Oh, Jabari Antoine decommitted from LSU. That stinks. I mean, that was your highest rated defensive player. I just saw this. I guess that happened overnight or last night. So still Miami, Florida State, LSU, the school he's focused on. Top 65 recruit in the country. So Corey Raymond got to get to work. That's the okay. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Was Jabari Antoine. You need Dr. Blake Williamson. Brian Wynn, Crawfish Etouffee, Jesse Brown, Morning Map. You're right about Tennessee yesterday. Who was the edge today? Yeah, I'm going to go with A&M. I think A&M wins it. So I was surprised that game yesterday was as close as it was. I mean, A&M had it with. I mean, A&M led 1-0 early. It was 2-1. The late 2-run homer for Tennessee gave them the final margin. I mean, I was quite honestly surprised that game was as close as it was. So I think this is. I do think this becomes a more offensive game for A&M today. So I do like A&M to win today. I've been on it. We'll see. Chef, what's going on? Abner Neal, Air Tech. Sorry. I think I read that one already. Let's see. Deborah, good morning. James, what's going on? Matt isn't always right. He's just never wrong. No, that's not true. I'm wrong from time to time. And then people will remind you when I'm wrong. Great day for sports. Game 3 of the CWS. Game 7 for the Stanley Cup. I haven't watched a minute of the Stanley Cup playoffs and don't intend to, but it is pretty interesting when you have a team that was down 3-0 that came back to tie the series, force a Game 7. Shades of 2004, as much as it aches me to say that, pains me to say that with Boston and New York. Dale, commitment as related to recruiting should be referred to as considering. Well, I mean, Dale, it's very, you know what I'm going to say. It's very hard for me to criticize a kid who commits and then decommits when schools can purge kids out of a class. And look, LSU did it last year. LSU had those 2 cornerbacks committed, one from Nashville and one from Orlando, Kai Bates and who was the other one? Anyway, they had 2 cornerbacks committed. And when Corey Raymond came back aboard, he purged them out of the class. And they ended up signing PJ Woodland and the kid out of JFK in New Orleans, whose name I'll never remember. I'll get it in time. So my point is that's a two-way street, man. It's hard. This is what so many times in fans who knock the decommitment process, all that stuff, so you don't ever want to acknowledge, which is it's a two-way street, and it happens all the time. Maybe not like publicly, we don't learn that a team purged someone out of their class, but it happens all the time. So, like, I mean, look at the guys who committed this weekend for 2026. It is a long, long way away from November of 2026. A lot can happen. So, on both sides. But you do that and you take a commitment because you got to build a class and you keep those relationships, and and a lot of them are going to be firm and some of them are not as firm and some of them are just, I'll commit and don't really, and they'll keep playing the game. So anyway, Charlie, Matt, just need Root and Gavin Clean. Yeah, that's all. Just the 2 best players in the portal. Jesse Brown, thank you, man. Let's see. Club Ruckus morning, heading to work in Washington, Louisiana. Let's have a good week. Let's go USA Soccer. I know nobody cares. Well, some people care. I just don't care. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want the USA to whip everybody's behind and everything. So I'll cloak myself in the red, white, and blue and cheer for America and tiddlywinks if we got it. It's just soccer is not really my thing, so I'm not like super pumped. Like, I didn't watch that game yesterday. Matt, discuss Les Miles filed a lawsuit against LSU. Yes, both here on on Locked on LSU, on After Further Review at length as well. And I would direct you to any of those platforms to get my full commentary on them. Yes. Myers was a great get. If he can throw strikes, Charlie. If he can throw strikes. Taylor Hudson, Jason H. I think it's time for the match shuffle. For those that don't know, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. I'm going to go and turn off the loop real quick. The loop is off.
Parish Construction and Roofing. At Parish, we got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parish Construction and Roofing. Parish Built. Parish Built. Parish Built. From your hometown. ParishBuilt.com.
Okay. Per your request, Jason, there it is. Shelby has to be the largest exit of arms in the last 20 years. I trust Jay, but this could be the closest we get to a rebuild type year under Jay. A ton of talent, not much experience at this level. Bubba. Let's see, Matt. Have you heard the rumors of Schloss leaving A&M to go to Texas after the season? Seems highly unlikely to me, but could you imagine A&M melt if that happened? So, okay, I gave you one of these a few weeks ago. Texas is looking to replace David Pierce, but they don't want to fire him and then have the public search. That was embarrassing last time. So they want to hire sort of thing, where they fired and announce immediately the new hire. Whenever that was 2 weeks ago or whatever, they reached out to 4 coaches. Jay Johnson was one of them. It was Schlossnagle, Tony Vitello, Jay Johnson, and Eric Bakich at Clemson, who was the Michigan coach. All 4 politely declined. I was even told Texas is offering $2.5 million per year. Massive number. Jay, after the Natty last year, got a contract extension. I think 7 years, $12.55 million. So it averages out to $1.7, $1.8 million per year. So significant raise, right? But all sort of politely declined. And what I was told was they had refocused to the Oregon coach. I'm blanking. I'm sorry, y'all. Mark Wasikowski. And then Oregon had a bloody meltdown in the Super Regional where, do you remember where they walked in like 3 runs and whatever it was, that whole meltdown? And I think that probably cost Wasikowski the Texas job. Chris Del Conte is the AD at Texas. He was the AD at TCU who hired Schlossnagle at TCU. So they do have that relationship there. It's just really hard for me to imagine, even with their relationship, if Schlossnagle wins a national championship at A&M tonight, like, where are you going? You know what I mean? Like, you won a national championship. A&M can pay you whatever Texas can pay you. I mean, it's what and what on the money. Really hard to imagine that he'd leave if they win it. Now, if they lose tonight, you know, does he just want to go to Texas, work for his old boss? I don't know. But I know they went down that path a couple weeks ago. I told y'all that. But the fact that Texas hasn't hired Wasikowski tells me they ain't hiring Wasikowski. Like, that's off the table now. And I think it was that meltdown in the Supers that did it. So how convincing can you be if you go back to the well with Schloss? Maybe, but I don't know. It's very hard to imagine that happening, but we'll see. Christian, doesn't Milan find out if he made Team USA national team this week? There's 2 different teams, Christian. There's one that's playing some of the summer league teams, and one that's playing like the international series. So I think you'll find out which one he's on. Hey, Dad, good morning. Have a great week. Armani Hayes, during the season, will the lefties be forced a lot of playing time since there are so few of them? Do you mean the left-handed pitchers? Well, keep in mind, last year, LSU had more lefties than I'd ever seen on an LSU roster in my life, from Jump and Herring and Ackenhausen and Coleman and Cam Johnson. Lore. I mean, they had a ton of lefties last year, and they all didn't get innings. So, Jay will listen. He's going to build out a roster, right? He's going to build a roster with the pieces he needs. So, I don't think it's something where they're just going to be devastatingly low. Like they're not going to field a roster with 28 players. You know, they're going to fill their roster, and they're going to be fine. Just got to coach them up, but they have the. I mean. They've got 3 commitments in the top 20 in the portal rankings already. So they're doing fine, y'all. They're doing fine. Arlen, having our top-ranked DB that's an in-state commit has to be a slight concern, right? Just when we get good news about defensive commit, another one drops. Long way to go for signing day, but I'll tell you, that's the kind of guy that, with Corey Raymond here, Jabari Antoine is the kind of guy you expect to get. But it's Miami, it's Florida State. Are they coming with bags? We'll see. Maybe it's LSU has to step up in the NIL space. I don't know that, but we'll see. I mean, why else would you decommit? Leon, morning, Matt. I know you don't care, but the way Vols fans act, I want A&M to finish the deal tonight. LSU is half of the natties ever won in the SEC. These folks constantly take shots at the Tigers. I'm with you, Leon. I'm not pulling for either, but I'm pulling against Tennessee more than I am, mostly because I think Texas A&M people are nice. And some of y'all will push back at me on that, but they are. Go to College Station. They're nice people. It's a very different vibe. They can be insufferable. They can be weird, and they can have the milkmen and the outfits doing the weird, hand signals and all that stuff. I get all that. But they're also nice people. Like they are. And understanding completely that LSU and Texas A&M had a bloody brawl in Kyle Field where, some film guy tried to punch Kevin Fogg. But by and large, Aggies are nicer people. JMJ, we have to talk about Jamboree, Jabari Antoine from Westlake. Yeah. Look, highest ranked defensive player in the class for 2025. That is a big loss with his decommitment. Not completely off the board. But as we'll say again, man, if you're Corey, that's why you brought Corey Raymond here. Was to get the best cornerbacks in the country, best defensive backs back into this program. And you have one at Westlake, just west of here. You got to get him. You got to get him back in the class. Wendell, Ethan Davis, good morning. Enjoy all the work you do for us fans. Thanks for keeping us informed. You mentioned Harrison and all the way you mentioned Harrison on Locked On LSU. I did, yes. If you heard Locked On LSU today, I did mention Bear Harrison on the episode. So, by the way, Locked On LSU, I know I've mentioned it several times now, but would greatly appreciate it if you haven't done so yet to please subscribe to the pod. It's a project I started back in 2018, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I started Locked On LSU, did it for 4 years. Stepped aside to do LSU Daily when Guarantee launched the Guarantee Podcast Network. They just respectfully asked if I would do the same concept pod just under the Guarantee umbrella, which of course I was going to do. And as we've moved away from that space, it freed me up to go back to Locked On when the opportunity presented. And so I'm back hosting Locked On LSU, and I'm excited about it. I think I've told you this candidly, but I don't like to lose at anything, like anything. And right now, Locked On LSU, and there's like 60 college channel pods, right? So daily podcast for about 60 different schools. And LSU is like right in the middle of the pack. It's like 30th, 38th, something like that. And I ain't good with that. So my goal is by the time LSU plays USC in the opener, I'm in the top 10. That's my goal, is that I'll be top 10 by then. And it's going to take me a little time to climb the rankings in the top 10, but I should be able to leapfrog everybody else to get there in the next, 2 months. So y'all do your boy solid. I just really, really appreciate it, man. If you go to your whatever podcast app, if it's Apple, Spotify, whatever, and just subscribe to Locked On LSU, I greatly appreciate it. Brent, what's going on? Lowell, morning, Matt. Hope all's well. I was in the transfer portal recently, decided to return to your morning show. Thanks, Lowell. I appreciate you for being here. Lowell hopped in the portal, but you always have the opportunity to return if you do. Robert, good morning. 37th birthday. All right, Robert, happy birthday, man. Can I get a song from Drew? Drew is sleeping, but if Drew wakes up before we're done, I promise we'll. Headed to play some golf, and then a cigar and a beverage with some buddies tonight. Good deal, man. Sounds like a great birthday. Happy birthday to you, Robert. Hope it's an awesome one, man. And Drew is sleeping. Sadly, but I don't think he's going to be awake, man. We've been letting him sleep here during the summer. We are going to the doctor tomorrow, so tomorrow's going to be an early show, or maybe we'll even do the show on the way to the doctor. But anyway, happy birthday, Robert. Hope it's a great one, man. Let's see. All right. Has Jacoby Matthews landed anywhere? Not that I've seen. BK, what up? Send you show information from my email. Okay, will do. Jonathan Martin, what's up, man? Solar Flares. Brian Penn, good morning from Dalton, Georgia. Head to Alec. Okay, man. Be safe on the road today, Brian. A&M got too comfortable with that 1-0 lead. Chef taking visits is just kids doing their due diligence. I completely agree. Dale, I like over 9.5 tonight. Boy, the unders have been playing at the College World Series, man. I do think we might see a little bit more of a more offensive game tonight, and but I do like A&M. I like A&M to win it. Armani Hayes, why don't the kids just wait till they go on all their visits before committing? Because sometimes you have to save your spot, right? Like, if you commit to a team, you've got your spot in their class. If you don't commit, what if you're now, if you're Jabari Antoine, for example, you're going to have a spot no matter what. I mean, you're a top 100 overall player, was number 66 overall, something like that. Like, you're going to have a spot. But a lot of times it's, look, if you need a corner, you jump in the class to save your spot in that class, essentially. Andre Evans was the other one. Thank you very much. That's it, Brian. Thank you. It was Kai Bates and Andre Evans. I knew something with an O. I couldn't remember it. Strong side, I don't get excited about commits until they sign in December and February. KDP, morning, Matt. Sucks when you lose a stud. Brett DeGrow, good morning. Brett, Skeens hit 102 on a strikeout yesterday, rookie of the year. I'll be so interested to see how MLB hitters adjust to Skeens as the season goes along. The more they see him, the more film they have on him, the more they learn his tendencies. I mean, because the key to Major League Baseball, or to hitting, obviously, and pitching, is adjusting. And then when someone adjusts to you, you keep adjusting. So it's that cat and mouse game. Like, you see it now with Skeens, the success rate he has, the strikeout numbers he has first time through the lineup as opposed to the second time through the lineup. So I do think that's really interesting. It will be interesting to watch as the season goes along to see how Skeens maintains his velo, as he's going to put more innings on that arm than he ever has in a season in his life, and how good professional hitters adjust to him. So I think that's going to be a fun thing to watch as the season goes along. Yeah, man. Congrats to Sha'Carri Richardson. Saw that on the Olympic qualification. What a story, too. I mean, she got popped because of weed. I mean, weed is legal most places now. And that darn near derailed her career. I mean, weed. Weed. I mean, not PEDs. She wasn't doping. She wasn't doing steroids. Weed. I mean, weed almost derailed her career. But good for her. Good for the perseverance. That's awesome. I hope she goes to the Olympics and wins gold in Paris. Tim, what's going on? Okay. Got it. Let's see. They're really nice people. Matthew Denicola, A&M win tonight. Please save the world from Vitello having to hear Hockey Top. Stad was the guy that tried to punch Kevin, the son of Jimbo. I don't think he was Jimbo's son. I think maybe he was like Jimbo's nephew. Do you remember that? Like, I think it was Jimbo's nephew. And didn't he punch somebody? Like somebody got punched, didn't they? Or somebody said, oh, it was Cragthorpe. That's right. It was Steve Cragthorpe. Like he went after Cragthorpe and like he hit Cragthorpe. No, was it Cragthorpe? Was it Cragthorpe? Well, it's been a while now. I'm trying to remember. Cragthorpe was really sick. And no, it wasn't Cragthorpe. It was 11. Who am I thinking of? It was a coach that was, who am I thinking? Who was it? Well. Chevis Jackson, Miami's trying to flip Jabori. What Chevis, man? Carrie, morning. Who you got winning the CWS? Yeah, man, I got A&M. I mean, I picked A&M to win it before the whole tournament started. So, I mean, now that you're down to the final game, why would I budge off of that now? So, if I had, now I didn't place a bet, but like that was the thing with me and Mintz and Musso. Now, if I had bet A&M to win the whole tournament back before it started, I'd probably hedge tonight with Tennessee. Like if I were betting and looking for a profit, but I mean, I like A&M, man. I think A&M wins it. Steve Menard, what up, Steve? Hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you there. Let's see, wild story. Christian, tomorrow's interview with Shea will be exciting. That's true, man. Jabori Antoine decommitting, big recruiting weekend with Friday Night Lights. So a lot going on, man, for sure. Brad, do you know why Hunt Palmer does not like the Saints? He says he's more excited about the Bengals and now the Commanders. I think Hunt grew up in Shreveport, just wasn't an NFL guy. And so he's never really had an NFL team. It was just an LSU guy. So never really had a reason to cheer for an NFL team. And then when Burrow went to the Bengals, he started cheering for the Bengals. So that annoys me, as I say often. Like, if you're from Louisiana, cheer for the Louisiana teams. You cheer for the Saints and the Pelicans. Like, in sports where there isn't a team here, like we talk about all the time with baseball, people have different allegiances for baseball or hockey or whatever. That's fine. I mean, there isn't a team here. But like, people have asked, I've said this before, like if all of a sudden Major League Baseball plopped a team in Louisiana, I wouldn't cheer for the Yankees anymore. I'd cheer for the Louisiana team. Yeah, before the Hornets got here in 2002, I didn't have an NBA team. I cheered for a lot of the LSU guys. I cheered for Shaq with the Magic. I loved watching Shaq with the Lakers. I was definitely not a Laker fan, but I loved seeing Shaq have success. I never cheered for the Lakers before and haven't since. But when Shaq was there, I wanted to see Shaq do well. As a kid, it was cool watching Jordan's Bulls just because he was like a superhero. It was awesome, But as soon as the Hornets came here, it was just about the Hornets, now the Pelicans. So I don't know. I'm bullish on that, man. It's like, and I use this example to people all the time. Like when you watch the Olympics and you turn on the shot put, who are you cheering for? You're cheering for the American. Why? Because you're from America. You cheer for your country. Well, you're from Louisiana. You cheer for the teams in your state. Anyway. Chance. How many lefties does LSU have on the roster? Well, Cade Anderson and Griffin Herring. That might be it. That really might be it right now. Let me see. Unless there's somebody I'm missing. I'm forgetting about. While you're there, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel. Facebook, like or follow along the profile. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So Bronzini's gone, Jump's gone, Axe gone. So Anderson, Herring, Primo, Javen Coleman's gone, Cam Johnson's gone. Yeah. So Primo's the only one I forgot. So Anderson, Herring, Primo are the only three you've got. And then obviously, in the portal you're looking in the portal as well. So all right. Where are we anymore? Uyo. Uyo is going to sign. I mean, third-year guy, draft year. You don't come back, you lose all your leverage. So no, Uyo is going to sign. Uyo, Lore, expect those. I mean, Uyo is power arm, 96 from the right side. He's a bullpen guy. He's a late round pick, but he'll get 100K, 150K, something like that, and he'll sign. So do not expect Uyo back next year. All right, y'all, I think we might be just about done. Appreciate y'all for being here, man. Hope everybody has an awesome day. As always, shout out to Brock. Hey, I'm going to keep reminding y'all, Brock, Rock, and Wine coming up July 27th at Tiger Stadium. So get your tickets. It's going to be a fun night. I'll be there. Looking forward to it. Hope to see a lot of y'all there as well. And, of course, Parrish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. You need North Peters, you go to Brock. You need a roof, call Parrish. And, of course, Crystal Poche over at Restored Motions. If you've got pain, book a session with Crystal over at Restored Motions and restoredmotions.com. Okay, y'all, Locked on LSU is already live. So however you get your podcasts or on the Locked on LSU YouTube channel, would appreciate if you go subscribe and listen, watch, follow along. All right, y'all, we'll see you for AFR 3. Peace.